The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Certainly glad you've tuned in today. We're coming to you live from the Pizza Ranch studio, presented by Liona, Laborers Local 663, who remind us to drive safely in work zones. Those folks want to go home as well. Also presented by Great Southern Bank. Great Southern Bank with more than 100 locations in 6 states. Great Southern Bank, member FDIC. Going now to the St. Louis area and defending Class 5 state champion, high school head football coach Brent Chojnacki from Francis Howell. Coach Chojnacki, thanks so much for your time today.
Hey, thanks for having me, guy.
Let's run through a little bit of last year. 14-0 on the season, Class 5 state championship. Talk about that team, what made them special, and maybe some of the guys you're going to have to replace off of that team due to graduation.
Yeah, really good. We really didn't have any weaknesses in all 3 phases of the game. Our kickers and, Missouri State, we had a Division I long snapper, a Division I tight end, and Brett Norfleet, who's going to the University of Missouri. Just a tremendous leader, a guy that's going to do really big things. Brady Holtman, who's heading to Wyoming. And just a group of guys that really molded well together and played well together, had a great team chemistry. And the big thing that I take away from that team is the senior class and the leadership that those guys had. I always say bad teams, there's no leadership. Good teams, there's good coaches' leadership. And great teams are teams that are led by the players. And that's certainly what we had last year in that 2022 season. And just made up of a great senior class. And as far as guys that are coming back, we returned most of our guys on the offensive side of the ball. Adam Shipley, who was our first team All-State quarterback, he's coming back for his senior year. Jude James, who just recently committed to University of Missouri as a tight end linebacker. They're still kind of uncertain on where they're going to utilize at that level. And then 3 really, really, really good offensive linemen up front were returning. All 3 of these guys were all conference selections last year. Logan Scribner being a Division I caliber offensive lineman. So on the offensive side of the ball, extremely excited. Defensive side of the ball, we lost our box players, our defensive line and linebackers. But the good thing about it is the guys that have been in the program and have just stuck it out and sat behind some really good seniors last year, they're trusting the process and they're back out with us. And those guys are doing good things this summer for us. And I think we're going to be able to replace some of the big shoes that we had on the defensive side of the ball.
You talk about the summer workouts, kind of give us an idea. We've interviewed coaches from around the state here on the Missouri High School Game Day Fall Preview Edition. A lot of guys doing different things over the summer, some going team camp, some not. Kind of give us an idea of what your summer's been like.
Yeah, we're trying to keep our summer as similar to last year's in regards to it kind of worked out for us. A couple of changes we made. One, we got out of school May 26th. We took that week of Memorial Day off, coaches, everybody, and we got back going June 5th. 2 weeks of camp, and then we went down to University of Missouri for a 7-on-7 tournament. We were going to bring our offensive line and defensive line. They didn't have the indoor facility finished, so they canceled that portion of the camp. We came out of that camp second place. There was some really good competitive teams. Lost in the championship round against a really good Cardinal Ritter team. But we saw teams of, Columbia Rockbridge, a really good football team, and made it all the way to the finals in that 7-on-7 tournament. Part of that, we had a lot of guys just cramping and going. Just they didn't make it to that last game. I think we would have been a little bit more competitive with some more depth in that last game. Part of that's my fault. I'm taking the credit for that, or taking the fault for that, getting these guys in shape, and that's certainly what we're focusing on now here in July. Also, going back to June, we went to Rockwood Summit Camp. They put on a jamboree style camp where really good competition. There was Eureka, who's going to be a really good football team this year. We got about 36 reps against Eureka, 36 reps against CBC, Pacific, Vianney, just some good teams there. And the biggest thing is we got good work in and we made it out healthy. You obviously don't want to lose any guys and any injuries in those camps. And we made it out healthy, and here we are in July looking at season's going to be here in 3 weeks or first week of practice.
Yeah, it was just that handful of days left, until that August 7th when you get to open up. But what are you doing between now and then? Do you have any team camps, or are you guys basically done other than lifting weights and stuff?
Yeah, so we're going Monday and Tuesdays. We practice in the evenings, and then we also lift before we go out for that short practice, do some conditioning, do some injury prevention work, some speed training, and then also on Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's more specifically just weight training and injury prevention and speed training. So we went Monday through Thursday this week. Next week we're going to finish up the summer with a 4-day mini camp, just going 7 to 9. We also bring our junior Viking kids up for a camp. We got 130 kids signed up for our junior Vikings camp from 5 to 7 next week as well. So excited about the summer and finishing it up on the right note. Our guys it's been just great buy-in this year. It's definitely shown that these guys aren't trying to rest on last year's achievement, and they're hungry to try to get it done again.
And Coach, just for the viewers, I know in the St. Louis area, folks probably know the answer to this question, but a lot of people around the state. Tell us a little bit about your background. And again, we're visiting with Brent Chojnacki, the head football coach at Francis Howell. Where'd you go to high school, college, and how long have you been at Francis Howell, and how did you arrive there?
Yeah, so I grew up in St. Louis County, Florissant, Missouri, attended Hazelwood Central, graduated there in 2006, went on to play college football at Missouri State. I was in Terry Allen's first recruiting class at Missouri State, where I started off at tackle, and then they moved me down to center and did that for 5 years there. My senior year, endured an injury, so they shut me down, and I got into the coaching side of things. It kept me on my scholarship and allowed me to help out just as kind of a student coach. Finished up there, and then I was fortunate enough to get a job right out of college, and I did 1 year in Bowling Green, Missouri. Before then, my high school head coach, who was then the athletic director at Hazelwood Central, gave me a call. I'm looking to find a PE teacher and a football coach, and I served 6 years at Hazelwood Central as offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, and then my last year as a head football coach. Great experience. I was able to work with some really good mentors, guys that had a huge impact on my just coaching knowledge and seeing the game the way it's supposed to be seen. My biggest mentor would be John Bacala, who's I'm fortunate enough to have John back on my coaching staff. He's going on his 2nd year, and here we are now at Francis Howell. I just finished up my 5th year, going into my 6th year, and looking forward to it.
You bet. Tell the folks a little bit about the conference. Who are some of the teams? I see you've just got a couple on your schedule right now with Fort Zumwalt North and Jackson. But what was that conference? How does that makeup look? And does it depend on what classification you are? Does that have any bearing on what conference you're in?
Yeah, so as far as our conference, it's the Winsfield schools are kind of changing enrollment numbers, so it changes every year. But right now, it's all 3 of the Francis Howell schools: Zumwalt West, Troy, and Timberland make up our conference alignment. We participate in the GAC South. Really good teams. Since I got to Francis Howell, the GAC South, just looking at the numbers, it's grown. The competition of the GAC South has definitely gotten better over the past 5 years. So it is a competitive conference, but then we also try to stack our non-conference schedule as competitive as we can get. Zumwalt North, who's always been a really good contender. Jackson, who's been a great program over the last 10, 15 years. And then this year we also had Lutheran North, who all these teams will be playing again next year. And then we finished up the season with Columbia Rockbridge, always a good Class 6 team, and Coach Perkins is doing a good job there.
Yeah, Matt Perkins, he's coming on pretty soon. He's West Plains, former coach here in the Ozark Conference in this area, and had some great success there. But is everybody healthy right now for you guys going into the season? You gonna have everybody?
Yeah, I think so. As far as, there's some guys banged up, but nothing season-long injuries. It's, a groin, a hamstring, just minor things right now. But those guys should be healthy after a week off. We got to go back on this dead week. Bring them back on August 7th. So we'll start our dead week at the end of next week and bring them back on August 7th. And I think we'll be at full capacity and all of our guys will be ready to go.
Outstanding. Well, Coach, I greatly appreciate you being generous with your time here. And I know hopefully we'll get to catch up maybe during some high school football scoreboard shows or something like that, which would be a lot easier because it's just a phone call. It's not, you don't have to, not a video, but, on Friday nights after the games. But I greatly appreciate you being generous with your time today.
Sounds good, guy. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Brent Chojnacki, head football coach, Francis Howell High School, defending Class 5 state champion.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.